Humanity has come far from the days of hunting and gathering. Our ancestors have pierced mountains, built miles of canals, constructed epic monuments, cleared entire forests, laid rails across entire continents, penetrated some of nature's deepest secrets, and explored the skies and waters. Societies before us have left the gifts of their greatest discoveries and treasures. None of these innovations can be said to come from a single individual. They took collective knowledge, human ingenuity, and labor. The workers in former times bled, sweat, and died in pursuit of these achievements. Knowledge comes slow, one piece layered onto the other, building through time and human generations. Societies have also progressed. Millions have struggled and died for the freedoms we have today. The concentration of power from kings to monarchs has been slowly wrestled away. In the time of absolute monarchy, there was only one individual in charge. Today, the disbursement of power has shifted from the one to the many. But power is still concentrated in the hands of a few. We all know who they are. They are the politicians, the business executives, the wealthy, and the well-connected. Individual liberty has also made tremendous gains, especially in recent times. We need not thank former governments or romanticized individuals. Instead, we should thank the people who declared and stood up for what belongs to them, the unquestionable right to individual sovereignty. For years, there has been a raging debate between the schools of collectivism and individualism. In general terms, people on the left tend to think of society as a whole. For example, what's good for the group is good for all. On the other hand, people on the right believe that the individual is supreme, and by working to improve one's personal well-being, society at large benefits. I believe both of these statements are equally true. A flower may be what catches the eye. However, we must recognize the contribution made by the rest of the plant, because the flower is not separate from the plant. They are a part of the same thing. At the same time, we have to respect the part that is the flower and respect its beauty and individuality. From a left libertarian point of view, collectivism and individualism are misnomers. The two are just aspects of the same thing. For individuals, human liberty must be maximized. People should be allowed to do whatever they please, moral or immoral, as long as they do not harm another person or another person's possessions. At the same time, we need to recognize that people do come together to form collective groups. This might be at work, in the political realm, associations, school, or wherever. When people do congregate, there are new dynamics. Whether people recognize it or not, these groups are working collectively towards some end. For example, in the workplace, an individual associates with others and pushes forward with some ultimate purpose in mind. If a group of friends get together, no person should tell the others what to do. They should decide together by consensus or by a majority in free association. This seems like a basic truism we all live by. Yet, most of our social relationships are organized with one person telling the others what to do. In these groups, people willfully submit to a ruler because they are coerced, threatened, bribed, or punished. They must promise to be obedient and willing commodities, ready to be used, labeled, numbered, dehumanized, and made subject to ridicule and humiliation. In essence, people enter into a master-slave relationship. Any society that lives by these hierarchies cannot be said to be free. Participatory democracy is a system in which people vote in collective gatherings in order to decide their fate and maximize collective liberty. Again, this type of democracy should have absolutely no bearing on the individual. People are to act, say, and do as they please, as long as they do not harm others or their possessions. Participatory democracy should only exist in the realm where people congregate and everyone in that group is affected. Its function is not for personal liberty, but collective liberty. One without the other is like saying you are half free. Instead of one person telling everyone else what to do, the group as a whole makes the decisions. This group is said to be self-managed. One person, one vote. There are no leaders or hierarchies. Everyone is equal. If a member chooses not to vote, that's fine. He or she should not be forced to do so. In order for this type of democracy to work, groups or assemblies should not exceed 250 people. Otherwise, not everyone would be heard and the system would become too complex. Representatives, such as politicians or managers, are replaced by delegates. Delegates are elected by the group. They make no speeches and hold no formal power. Their only job is to carry out the tasks assigned by the group. If the group makes a decision and the delegate carries out a different task, they can be recalled. In a society organized like this, a decentralized network of communities would naturally occur, with groups that would freely associate with one another. Democracy should be directly proportional to how it affects your life. In other words, more power is held in the community rather than some far-off place. Decisions would not flow down, but would bubble up from the surface naturally and express society's greatest wishes. This would allow the people to create a society based on their own desires and dreams, rather than the isolated society they exist in today. It is a sick society when we barely know our neighbors, when we walk past each other with a hesitated glance, when our fellow workers are seen as nothing more than competition, and when an elite minority dominates the majority. A participatory democracy allows us to interact within our communities, our workplace, and our social gatherings in an atmosphere of equality, mutual respect, and mutual agreement. We should be the ones making the decisions, coming up with the ideas, and implementing the ends with our fellow human beings. Today, we are working collectively not for kings or monarchs, but for our paymasters. We work for politicians who use our money for their hidden agendas. We work for CEOs who steal a portion of our labor for their personal gain. These are the new kings. They hold society in shackles while they are free. It is not just collective liberty that is being held hostage to their whims. It is the individual. Currently, all of our energy, creativity, intelligence, time, and liberty are working for an elite minority. They are nothing but thieves living off of our blood, sweat, and tears for their freedom. In a participatory democracy, groups can come together freely and decide their own future. Our ancestors built the pyramid for the pharaohs. Imagine what a free society could achieve if it were free to manage its resources and labor. Humans, while superficially different, are almost identical in DNA to each other. Our DNA is physically expressed in the flesh, including the makeup of our brain. As a result, our thoughts, ideas, emotions, morality, and hopes travel the same path. Again, the differences in physicality are superficial. A common thread is the desire to pursue personal satisfaction in a wide range of human experience. My personal hope is that true freedom, extended by participatory democracy to all, would push society towards something along the lines of post-scarcity. Resources would be available to everyone, eliminating need, poverty, and economic suffering. Tedious jobs would be automated to reduce unnecessary tasks, so that work becomes a choice. In this environment, we would be free to spend our time pursuing the things we love, such as art, sports, socializing with friends and family, playing music, traveling, learning, or just daydreaming. The human desire to create would produce genuine rather than competitive innovation. Whether this future is achievable is yet to be seen. However, these ideas can only be achieved if people work toward these ends. Throughout history, rulers, be they kings, chiefs, monarchs, dictators, managers, or politicians, have dominated our lives. As time has passed, the one has turned into the many. They have been the decision makers, telling us how to live, what to think, and how to be. Their time is over. A participatory democracy makes everyone a ruler unto themselves. In this decentralized system, individuals represent only themselves in free association and self-manage their own affairs in an equitable and just manner. Today, hierarchy creates a division where only a few decide our fate and our lives. This totally inefficient system neglects the natural human capacity, intelligence, and creativity of individuals. A group of 20 people conversing, debating, assessing, and considering all possibilities is better than a few that manage our affairs. Today, ideas are not considered or even heard in order to retain the division of power and wealth. This paternalistic system turns people into idiotic creatures and into people who walk through life like zombies, quiet, helpless, and alone. When others make decisions for us and tell us how to live and act, we naturally gravitate toward a state of impotency. People in society need to have a say, a choice, a sense of power, and their own voice. Our centralized and bureaucratic system of authority is crushing our spirit. Society and its institutions are not designed for human beings. Our system of representative democracy is an anti-human system and should have been left in the dustbin of the 20th century. Our best option for freedom, true freedom, both collective and individual, is through a system of participatory democracy. It is time to strip our masters of their power to dominate and humiliate us. Individual freedom has made tremendous strides in the last 100 years, but without collective freedom, whether it exists in the workplace or in the political realm, is only half freedom. Until then, we cannot say that we live in liberty.